in number 4 off to a great start for the Kiwis. 1 minute to go before the final race is underway. It'll all be about who hits that line at the right time. Stevie, Lisa, in a race like this, you cannot afford a penalty.
You can't afford a penalty. We saw how painful it was in the previous race, and it will be so much worse for this one. We know it's all about winning. Right now, I do actually like where Canada is. They've done it very well today so far, so I think they're in quite a strong position there.
I think it's an interesting point you make, though. You say, I think I'd be happy to take the risk. I'd rather take the win. I'd rather take the win and risk being third than just be a bit conservative and then almost definitely end up, you know, in that backpack and struggling. So here we go. The boats start to turn down. On the inside, it's New Zealand. Canada further up to the wind. Canada should have the faster angle to Mark 1. Canada have turned the boat first and they're creeping out ahead at the moment here. It's when the light turns white that we're going to see the start go clear. Canada are the fastest at the moment, but it's New Zealand who'll be on the inside. Clear start. All the boats disappointingly far back from the start line there. Now it's all about speed. Who can accelerate the boat the fastest? Pressure's on the wing trimmers right now. You've got to maximise it, and to my eye, it's Blair Tuke on board New Zealand that's got that boat going the fastest. They are on the inside. They've got the fastest route to Mark 1, but Canada, well, can they roll around the top? Can they steal the wind? I think he's going to take the wind of the Australian boat pretty quickly, but can New Zealand hang on the inside?
Wing up and touch more. What do you think? I got to clear myself, you reckon? Yeah.
So I just heard off the Australians that Tom and their team, they're in bad wind right now, so they're going to try go around the outside of Canada to try get fresh air. So they're taking a risk here, and it is really on between Canada and New Zealand right now. It's a really tough spot to be in if you're New Zealand.
It's tough, but look at that Mark 1. New Zealand are on the inside, and I think it should be New Zealand pretty good from here. Australia, I say we take a risk. They were third anyway. They've got to try and do something at this point. They've got to get more wind clear. If you're in disturbed wind, if you've got less wind, you've got less fuel in the tank. You can't put your foot down. So first things first, let's get clear wind. Let's get the boat back to full speed and then see if an opportunity presents itself, Todd.
There you see the wind is now dipping. Ooh, look at this, into 6 kilometers an hour. That is about as high as it's been so far. As they approach that seawall, hopefully they'll get some kind of puff coming through at mark number 1. And on the inside, it is the Kiwis, the Canadians on the outside, and the Australians taking a chance as they roll the dice and hope it comes up Yahtzee.
Well, Stevie, you called that better than I did. You've been here before.
Well, I think you said it earlier. It's better to be lucky than good. But right now, New Zealand, I think that's really got to go a lot there. They just got the boat going a bit faster.
As soon as they've entered inside the seawall, the wind has dropped dramatically. So we're about 3 kilometers less than we were outside the seawall. And we did see in the previous races that it is good to be out in front, but because it is so fickle out there, anything can happen. And we had the head-to-heads from that reach to Mark 1. We'll call it a reach. And as you can see, the average speed of New Zealand was just a click higher. Now we're back on their live speeds up there. So New Zealand out in front, clearer air, and they're going faster.
Now, if you're wondering what that race flag time is and why it's 0% across the board, these, as Lisa pointed out, these catamarans are meant to foil. And right now it is both holes in the water. They're just looking for some kind of breeze. And look at this, it's starting to creep up a little bit.
Well, a little bit, but you see Andy Maloney sat on the front there. He's normally the flight controller, but there's not a lot of flight happening right now. So he's actually up at the front of the boat. That helps with the balance of the boat. They're trying to minimise the drag of these hulls. He's holding the sail out. There's not enough wind to hold the sail out. So Andy's doing that, and he'll also be helping paint the picture for the boats around them there. So that job description there, Liv Mackay, she's got the job on the handles.
Yeah, we're going good.
Voice of Blair Tuke, we're going good, and it certainly looks like that at the moment. They've got that New Zealand boat slipping along there. Liv going hard on the handles.
Well, those strategists, they have to be chameleons. They've got to fit anywhere. They grind, they do strategy. We know that they're going to have a touchpad now, so they've got all these controls at their disposal, and new innovation by SailGP. So I think those female athletes are pretty talented out there.
Pace of the conversation starts to pick up just a little bit. New Zealand out in front, then it's Australia, and Canada's fallen off. So maybe that option that Tom Slingsby and the Aussies, Stevie, going behind the Canadians, it may pay off.
I think the Canadians just got a little bit slow, Todd. I'm not sure what they've done. You know, we can see the live speeds there, and right now Canada are the slowest boat out there. We've got different, you know, we've got all the units there for us. We've got old money of knots, we've got miles per hour for the English and the Americans out there, and kilometres an hour. So we're really covering all the bases with the different speeds there on the screen. But yeah, Australia up to second here, but a 73-metre lead for New Zealand. And, you know, I just think they've got the boat going a little bit faster on board New Zealand. We still see this feature that we've had today, which is definitely a new feature in SailGP, of them working that windward foil up and down to help their speed on it. But they're going to come down through this gate, as we can see, the arrows there indicating that they can turn either way through it. But they've got to choose. Am I going to turn left or am I going to turn right? And I'm not sure that's the easiest decision to make in the world. Historically, it's been good to turn right so far today. So I think we'll probably see New Zealand turn right.
I think we might see a split here. So we know it's the final. If you're at the back, you can roll the dice. You can go the other way, because what the sailors are seeing out there has been changeable. We saw in the first race, Tom thought he knew something on the Australia boat, went the other way. And so I think anything can still happen here. I know it's going slow, but it's still a bit edge of your seat.
It is, but they were going the fastest on board Canada. I think that's a great call there, Lisa. I think Canada will turn left, and New Zealand, for the first time in this race, had got a bit slow. Voice of Chris Draper there, the wing trimmer. Again, I just think there's a huge, huge weight of pressure on those wing trimmers in these conditions, because you're trying to optimise your wing as much as possible. Still showing us a 60-metre lead. Could well be neck and neck as we go through gate 2. It's going to be who's called it right, who's going to have found the most wind, and we will have a split at gate 2.
So the final race of the first event here in Season 4, the Rolex United States Sail Grand Prix Chicago at Navy Pier, might not be at high speed, but is still high drama. Who will take the opening event?
Way to go, you guys. Easing to me.
Go out the back, Australia. What's happened right now, Todd, is Canada and New Zealand have put this race in the hands of Mother Nature.
If they're slow, we have room to roll into an early tack.
Gonna be to not let them get up inside me.
Okay, so that's there. Australia are trying to set themselves up for an early tack, and Canada are foreseeing that, and Phil Robertson saying, let's not let them get up inside, let's not let them trap us here. There you go, Canada. He slows the boat deliberately to force Australia outside. The only person this good news for is New Zealand right now, because both these boats are going slow with each other. Canada have to get away. Right of way with Australia. As soon as the two boats are overlapped, Canada have to turn away. This is great news for New Zealand, and now it's a straightforward game of Mother Nature between Australia and New Zealand as they head up to this next turning gate. Right-hand side of screen, that's where we're racing to now.
Happy to roll with this Knox pistol. Are you going to pull it?
We've been talking about the wing trimmers quite a bit, and so normally you want a really efficient wing. We talk about twist and controlling the power in a really efficient way, but in a day like today, you want to have plenty of power. You want to deepen the wing up and have as much acceleration as possible, but it is a bit of a delicate balance, so they've got a lot of things to think about here, and I think this is about to get quite interesting, Stevie.
It's going to get really, really interesting, Lisa, because Australia and Canada will have the right of way when they come back together with New Zealand. New Zealand now turn the boat through the wind. Here we go. When they come back together, right of way is going to be with Australia and Canada. Who's furthest ahead? Speeds are higher on board Australia right now. Boat speed on board New Zealand down at just 6 kilometres an hour, 9 kilometres an hour in Australia. But that is because New Zealand have only just turned. Gate 3 there. They're going to go through that, and they'll look to turn left down towards the finish line. Really, really tight as we approach the top here. Oh, it's going to get tense.
They on port? I can't.
Yeah, they're on port. They're on
Stop laying it there.
There's so much communication going on board Australia between Natasha Bryant, the strategist, and Tom Slingsby. You can feel the tensity there.
Well, I think what interests me as well, Lisa, you could gather, it's really hard for the drivers to see. There's that big wing sail. They used to be up in the air, and they can kind of almost see underneath the boat. I think New Zealand are ahead here. I think they're clear ahead. There's not a lot in it, though. If it's close, Australia have the right of way.
Okay, Canada, Aussie's done better on Canada. It's going to be Aussie's your issue.
That's Blair Toot talking to Pete. Big moment here. New Zealand do need to turn the boat one more time. Big question, can Australia make it to the gate with no more returns? And where do New Zealand position relative to them? That's Blair Toot we're
Yeah,
hearing
you're
here.
clear in front of him. You're clear in front of him.
So he's calling it clear.
His old
Then on
mate.
Leyland, test
Well, and they're inside the yellow circle. That
Then on
means
lane.
now New Zealand have the right of way for the mark, but Australia are going to be coming in faster because they don't have to turn the boat here. Burling turns the New Zealand boat. He slams the door shut. This is almost an exact repeat, albeit about a millionth of the speed to the grand final where Australia shut the door in front of New Zealand. But right now Burling shut the door and it's now a straight sprint to the finish. But it's all about who can accelerate the boat, and these roos do not go away. There's the finish line, left-hand side of screen there, Todd. New Zealand have got to be the favourites from here, but it's all about acceleration.
So on the final leg of the final race, it is a two-boat race. Canada is in effect out of this one. It's New Zealand and Australia on a week where we had too much wind on Thursday, perfect amount on Friday, and very little wind on Saturday. It will be a very slow drag race to the finish line to see who will take the top prize.
I just can't help but feel this arm wrestle's going to go on all season. The two big hitters from season 3, they're back at it, trading punches.
This may be a situation where even for Tom Slingsby, he's going to run out of real estate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a straight line here, really. So Tom's got to sail literally right round the outside of New Zealand. And well, New Zealand there, the number, they've got the boat going fast.
Stressful, right? Hell of a day.
Well, they are enjoying it, even if it is at slow speeds, as the Kiwis look at the Aussies behind them, their arch rivals, and this has got to feel good for the Kiwis right now. New Zealand SailGP is just moments away from claiming the title on a day where Mother Nature not necessarily cooperated. It is the Kiwis who excel in the light breeze on Lake Michigan, and they will take the win. Season number 4 off to a great start for the Kiwis. They win the Rolex United States Sail Grand Prix.
That was Pete Burling there saying that was one of the more stressful days. You'd thought you'd be stressed going around at 100 kilometres an hour, but no, it's going around at 6 kilometres an hour and feeling completely out of control that does it. But yeah, the comms there were good. Australia, wow, they do not know when they're beaten. They just don't go away, do they? They keep fighting.
Broadcast, we can hear you.
So Tom Slingsby in Australia, the 3-time reigning and defending champions, they start the season off in second place. So they'll be 1 point back of Peter Burling, who gets first win, draws first blood for season 4, and it was well earned, Lisa. They made all the right maneuvers. I thought Tom Slingsby was going to pull it off one more time, but just didn't have the pressure.
Well, we know never to write Tom Slingsby off, that's for sure, but New Zealand, they commanded it from the start. They had that perfect angle to mark 1, and they could pick which way they wanted to go. Canada and Australia, they rolled the dice. It wasn't working in the previous races, so New Zealand was able to keep it simple and just snuck in there at that top gate. It was pretty close, to be honest.
And credit to Canada, Stevie. We talked about them coming to this season, a little uncertainty as far as the financial future of the team. They're here, they're fighting, they get into the final.
There's no doubting that this is one of the most talented teams on their day. They can be a little bit flash in the pan, hot or cold, but when they turn up, you know, they won the series here. They won over the 5 races. They've ended up losing the final, so they're going to come away with a 3rd place from here. But yeah, Canada are super talented, and you know, hats off to them. There were a lot of doubts surrounding them for the last few weeks. They've turned up and they've really put on a great show. I've got to say, I believe that the crew that is going to win it is the New Zealand crew. I just think they've had a bit of a rough ride through the mid-season. I would argue they had a terrible European leg. But for Burling, Maloney, Took and Liv Mackay, they've been there, they've done it before. And I think they need it. Results-wise for the season, they need it. However, for me, Phil Robertson is the best starter in the fleet. He's got the opportunity to come in hot at this start line with a bit of space, and 34 seconds to go. They're all lined up for the tide run. They're going to have a bit of space. There's a lot less disturbed wind out there now. There's less boats around. What do Robertson and Annie Hager have lined up strategy-wise? It looks like they're trying to take the inside position. That means a shorter distance but a slower angle to mark 1. It's suggested to be the favourite option, though, and now it's 15 seconds out. The boats are up and foiling. They've all got the run-up. Jimmy Spittle's got the fastest angle, but he's going to have to sail further. Jam in the middle of the sandwich is New Zealand, and it's now all about timing. How's your timing, Jimmy Spittle? Coming in hot. I love the Australian position here. He should be able to convert this into a fast-forward mode and roll over the top of those other 2 boats. All of them late. Bad timing, but Australia's Jimmy Spittle's got it right. Advantage Australia.
So it's the green and gold out in front here at the event final of the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix. Just to Spithill's left are the Kiwis, and then the Crazy Canucks on the inside line. Can Phil Robertson at mark number 1 bring the gun smoke?
He's going to struggle from there, Todd. He's starting to now feel the effects of that big Australian wind sail, sending disturbed wind towards him at the moment. That will slow him up. Less wind, less speed. Simple facts there. He should hang on the inside of New Zealand, though, as Australia move away, and it's now all about, can the Australians keep it clean from here?
The Australians, the fastest boat on the course right now, 49 kilometers an hour. New Zealand not much slower, though.
20.
I think the interesting thing there as well is once you get down to this 3-boat final, it's not necessarily about how good your start is, it's just about is it better than everyone else. And I don't think any of the crews will be very happy with the start, but Jimmy had the best start, and there we go. First to manoeuvre is Australia, but New Zealand, well, they've got to try and make something happen now. They've turned the boat first, they're on the inside, and they've stayed on the foils. Numbers up on New Zealand here, they're foiling. Australia have messed it up, they're in the water. Canada are foiling. Who's going to be able to convert this, though? They're all back up and foiling. This race is far from done. Slight twitch and slight mistake by Australia, but I think they should be able to hang on from here.
Little NASCAR on water as they go 3 wide, approaching gate number 2, and Jimmy Spithill on the inside line has the speed back up now, over 45 kilometers an hour as they approach the next gate. This is gate number 2, the Dubai gate.
I think we're going to see a left turn for Australia and Canada, and I would anticipate New Zealand setting up one more manoeuvre and turning right. Now, in the last, so far today, the left turn's been good. You save a manoeuvre here, Australia, but New Zealand will split, I would imagine now. Try and find more wind, different wind on the other side of the course. What are Canada going to do? Canada split as well. They cover off New Zealand. Great news for Australia, I think, that neither boat could quite make it to gate 2 straight. Big gains for the Australians.
High mode. Trying to stay foiling though.
So Australia has the lead, Canada in second, 13 seconds behind, and the Kiwis now rounding as well, 21 seconds in the rear of the Australians.
And the Kiwis won't like, because they've had to follow a boat out round the mark. They're sailing in that turbulent, disturbed wing off the boat in front, so New Zealand has to manoeuvre. What New Zealand needs now is space if they're going to have any chance to catch Australia.
And it's good news right now for the Australian team with slightly more wind on the top of the screen than the Canadians on the left side of the course. But all to play for still.
Not a lot in it, Todd. Look at this. Australia have the right of way, but New Zealand are coming back not too far away from them. No boats here are foiling, so they're all about minimising manoeuvres and minimising distance. And to my eye, it's New Zealand sailing the angle that's progressing them up the course the quickest at the moment, which would suggest maybe they're nicely aligned up with the wind shifts. Australia look to get on the foils. Big moment in the race here. Australia are foiling. They've burnt a lot of distance to make it happen. Short-term loss. Will it be a long-term gain to the Aussies as Canada take the lead provisionally on the water right now?
Chip on, guys, chip on.
To get fast enough there, Todd, to get on the foils, they had to sail a lot of extra distance. That was what caused their lead change, but now, of course, they're probably going nearly 10, 15 kilometres an hour quicker. More than that. Here we go. Advantage New Zealand. Advantage to the Aussies here, but as they're close to the boundary, they're going to have to give room to Canada. They will have to turn on board Australia. Jimmy's going to ask the question to the umpires, but I think Canada were close enough to the boundary to be protected, and this race is really tight. It was a bit of a loss trying to get on the foils here. It's not quite windy enough, 13 kilometres an hour, top left of the screen, and well, it's really, really tight. This is classic match race stuff here.
We've got a big cross coming, Stevie. Look at this, the Kiwis on the right-hand side, the Australians and the Canadians are all going to converge right in the center of the course.
They are, and it's going to be right of way with the Kiwis at the moment. However, I think those two boats are far enough ahead. But good news for New Zealand is if you are behind, you want to be sailing the opposite direction. Because, oh, here we go. New Zealand are fast enough to foil. This is a big move for the Kiwis now. They're up and foiling. They're going to look to get round the other two boats.
We can see here that the Australians have committed to that high but slow mode. So they're sailing less distance by making their way up the ladder lines, but their speed is down at 21 kilometres an hour.
It's so hard, though. When you're near another boat, it's hard not to be affected by the other boat. Be that turbulent wind affecting you and directly slowing you down, or be that mentally affected of, like, I want to beat this guy, I'm going to just take them out. And I think here you can see the Canadians and the Aussies are a bit tied together, which should be an advantage for New Zealand because they can sail their own race, sail free and fast, but still, you'd rather be sat on first position right now in control of things. But New Zealand, they're moving up the leaderboard. Look, they're up to second on paper, and they will be the fastest boat, I'd have thought, right now.
This is the event final, the final race of the day at the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix. It is Australia out in front, New Zealand second, Canada currently sitting in third. There you see the wind holding steady at 13.8 kilometers across the entire course. They'll make this gate, then it's down to the next gate, and then a right turn to the finish line.
Yeah, crucial moment now. Next boat on the foils wins this event, I think. That would be my call. Can New Zealand get up on the foils? They're coming in here. They have the inside. That could also be a crucial factor. New Zealand will be allowed to turn left inside Australia and Canada should it be tight. Look how slow it is. Fastest boat is New Zealand. They have the right of way, but will they choose to turn left, or do they think they can get clear across in front?
Okay, we're going to foil in this one. Speed's coming quick.
I think New Zealand are going to try and go behind and get on the foils here. They're going to try and dip behind Canada and Australia and split the course with them, but they're going to hope to be on the foil. They are foiling. New Zealand, Australia are going to be slow here. Right of way, Canada on the inside, turns them up now. Can New Zealand make it round this neck? They're trying desperately to foil, but I think they might have forced it too hard. They're struggling here. Canada in great shape, up on the foils. It's advantage Canada.
And Australia right behind them. They are up on the foils as well. The speeds come up as New Zealand splits the course. Let's go down on the water for this final leg at Lisa Darmanin.
All the way into this corner, okay? No more depth.
Anything can happen here. This is a repeat of last year. I think it really is going to go down to this final manoeuvre. I think we saw exactly the same thing, a big switch. I do think where the Kiwis are going has been more powerful during the day, but I think between Canada and Australia, it's going to be about the manoeuvres, Australia deciding to move first.
There go the Aussies. First to turn, top left of screen, New Zealand. They look like they're in good wind at the moment, but it is going to be about accuracy. New Zealand, have we found more wind? Australia, Canada, who's done the best manoeuvres?
Looking at the wind across the course, I'd say it's pretty even. It's only within half a kilometre an hour across the course, so it all comes down to how accurate they can be with their manoeuvres and how quickly they can be up on the foils.
The Kiwis nailed the turn there. They were the first to turn. They stayed on the foils, but so did Australia. And when they come back together, it's going to be Australia with the right of way over Canada, but the Canadians are on the crucial inside position.
Here we go. This is the penultimate leg. It'll be down to this next gate, a right-hand turn in front of the fans at the Adrenaline Lounge, and it'll be all on as the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix title is on the line. Here come the Kiwis streaking it up over 43 kilometers an hour.
Next boat to turn will be Australia. They'll have the right of way over Canada, and they'll be able to come back quickly at them. New Zealand, 2 more manoeuvres to do before the next mark, but they will potentially, if they're close enough, have the right of way. This is so tight. Australia need to nail this jibe if they've got a hope of winning. Here we go.
Jimmy Spithill calls for the turn.
He has the right of way. They stay on the foils just, but here go Canada. They're going to turn right in front of them. They play blocker. Can the Canadians stick this manoeuvre?
One hull down for the Canadians there.
Oh, the Aussies are foiling. They're going to be fast over the top. New Zealand, now they have the right of way if they can get into that yellow circle here. Advantage New Zealand for me as they come in. New Zealand with a last-minute dive. They've got the right of way on the inside and they hit this circle.
Look at this, the Kiwis as they come in. It is going to be tight at the corner. Who's going to give way?
Canada have got to give room to Australia and to New Zealand. Oh, there's going to be protests here, Todd.
This is the umpires. Penalty Canada, penalty Australia, not giving Mark room.
And look how close they are.
Dive on the inside. New Zealand
meters away as they come to the finish line. Who's going to have the pressure to win it? As they come up, look how close this is.
Oh, it's a laughing. New Zealand have got to keep clear of Australia now, and Canada on the outside, but they should have a penalty.
Canada crosses the line. Now who turns the boat? And it looks like the Emirates winning moment will go the way of the Kiwis.
I don't know. There's lots to be answered. Craig Mitchell's going to decide this. It's going to the umpires because there was so many penalty incidents in there. That unbelievable, incredible scenes here.
Canada crosses the line first, but they had a penalty to get rid of. It was Australia who was in second place who had the right of way, but it was the Kiwis who crossed the line without a penalty. So Craig Mitchell, chief umpire, will sort this whole thing out. Stevie, it's got to be either Australia or Kiwis, right?
Oh, I don't know, because the way the rules are written, there needs to be a lead change. when you get a penalty. Now, did Canada drop far enough behind Australia in that one penalty to go through? However, I think their foul was so bad that they caused too much of a loss to Australia, and they should have a double penalty. That's my opinion. That was, to me, a pretty blatant foul, not giving enough room. Phil Robertson, if there's anyone that's going to push the limit, he's played the game. If he wins it, hats off to him, because that was an aggressive play of the rules. But to me, New Zealand had the right of way. They should have been able to round it how they want. Because of Canada's actions on Australia, they stopped New Zealand having the space they should have. But Australia didn't have the space they should have either. And then, I mean, wow. Yeah, to me, it's all in the umpire's hands. I could give it to any one of the three of them.
So don't pop the bubbly just yet. Emily Nagel, from your position, what do you think?
I'd have to agree with Stevie there about the Canadians definitely being in the wrong. But who that goes to over New Zealand or Australia, it's a close call.
And this all goes back to a black flag in the 5th race with Emirates GBR taken out. They were in a top 3 position. They get removed. The Australians somehow find a way in, and it will be officially the Emirates winning moment going to New Zealand, taking the win at the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix.
And that, to me, do you know what? That's the right call.
Yep.
They were on the inside. That Emirates winning moment, for me, should really be New Zealand's, because they weren't given the room they were entitled to at the mark. Canada, fair play, pushed the limits, tried to squeeze it out. But yeah, what a race, Todd. It's not all over until it's over.
Absolutely. Just when you thought the Kiwis were on the outside looking in, when they split the course, they get up on the foils, they come in hot, and it looked like it was going to be between Australia and Canada at this point. And here they are at the finish line. Canada does cross the line first, but a penalty still to absolve. And watch this turn as Pete Burling just, I mean, we're talking a meter or two ahead of Jimmy Spithill and the Australians.
Oh, I mean, you would like a bit more wind, but wow, that's some exciting stuff, isn't it? Even at that, the chess game that took place in that last 500 metres down there, New Zealand played 2 extra moves, but they absolutely nailed them. So he brings a bit of experience. Interesting now, that blue marker there towards the middle of our screen, that's the place that is pole position to start. But as all the wing trimmers told us before the racing today, it's about hitting the line fast. USA, he's decided to be the lead back boat. He's decided to lead the fleet in. He has control. Spain will take on the role of this sniper. He's looking for the opportunity out the back. And well, New Zealand somewhere in the middle, but they'll be relying on his timing and then hoping for better boat speed as he comes in. 30 seconds to go. The Spanish coaches there on the shoreline looking out. Big gap off for New Zealand here. He's given himself an opportunity. USA close to the line. They will be near that pole position, but will they be fast? It's going to be a battle between USA and Spain. New Zealand has space. Space is normally good with 15 seconds to go. The Kiwis start to wind it up. 10 seconds to go here. Watch for that line to turn right. Here go New Zealand. They turn it towards the line. They're going to be the fastest boat. How's your timing, Pete Burling? It's going to be go for the final in here in Abu Dhabi, and the Kiwis are fastest at the gun, but can they roll over the top of the US to Mark 1?
And the Kiwis here at 30 kilometers an hour of boat speed, so they are right on the edge of being able to pop.
Peter Burling and the Kiwis with a master class in patience as they approach mark number 1 here, the event final in Abu Dhabi. And remember, every single driver told us, if you get a great start, that is 90% of the battle.
That's a brilliant start by the Kiwi crew. They look like they're setting up to do a manoeuvre straight away at Mark 1 here. Slow turn down for the Kiwis, trying to keep control of that inside position. They made a gain there at Mark 1 when they were in the pack. Interesting, they've chosen to turn straight at the mark. Maybe thinks he's seen wind. It was a slightly darker patch of water we could see on the screen there. USA follows round behind them. They're quick to turn. Spain and USA are going to be in a private battle. Great news for New Zealand. Gate on the right-hand side of our screen. I imagine New Zealand will try and set up for a left turn. If they can get round this gate clear ahead, it's going to be a big advantage to that Kiwi crew.
So the Kiwis out in front here on the final race of the event. New Zealand, USA, and Spain battling for the top 10 points, and this would be huge for the Kiwis if they could win back-to-back events. Remember, they won in Dubai just a few weeks ago, trying to pull off the double here in the Middle East.
They look well lined up at the moment. Spain potentially overtaking USA, but I anticipate USA are going to look to set up for a right turn at the bottom of the course here. Expect a left turn for New Zealand. They're going to go in and give the fans a bit of a show on the shoreline. USA is going to be forced for a right turn here, I think.
The Kiwis starting to decelerate here. Spain closing that gap, still all to play for.
Introducing to us, Andy.
You hear the voice there of Blair Tuke talking about the wind for the next leg. So the Kiwis were talking about turning up round this mark, and then they said we're going to go into attack. Well, that's when they turn the boat through the wind and head back across the course. So we expect a left turn. What do USA do? I would think you'd turn right here if I'm on board USA. Spain, they're going to follow, but they'll be looking to make an attack after the gate.
We've seen a lot of gains coming, as you mentioned, Stevie, before when they go in front of the fans on the shore. So we'll see if that plays out now, as they are all looking for pressure, looking for ripples on the water, looking for dark patches. The Americans split away. Will this pay dividends for them?
Well, that's maybe a good time to go down to Lisa on the water if she's with us. Maybe Lisa can tell us what she thinks was the right call to make at that bottom gate.
Max 2. Yeah, got it.
Well, I definitely think it was a good call by the Americans. You know, if you're not winning this race, it probably is a good thing to split. But the New Zealand team, they were very prepared to be able to cover the rest of the fleet. So they've just actually turned, and they're going to basically cover. So go with the other teams and make sure that they don't find any more pressure than them. So yeah, it's sort of classic battle out here. Spain are the only one with the hull in the air at the moment, but New Zealand's about to pop up.
An early maneuver by Taylor Canfield, as he may sense what they were trying to do, and he turns back towards the shore.
Yeah, classic move for a match racer there, really. He wants to be trying to get himself heading in the different direction to the other teams. Up towards the top of our screen where the fans are, that's where we've saying historically there's been more wind. That's where the USA are sailing right now. So he's going to be heading there on his own. If there is more wind when he gets there, that'll be good news. That's hard for us to see from this angle, but the USA is making a move to try and make something happen in third place. That's all they could really hope to do. The Kiwis and the Spanish, they're neck and neck. But for Spain, the problem they've got is when they do their next maneuver, the Kiwi boat will be able to just slam dunk straight in front of them and block the wind onto the Spanish wing. So Burling in complete control of the Spanish right now, but Canfield, he's on a wing and a prayer, but potentially opportunity for the US boat if they can find more wind.
Currently, we are seeing the Kiwis with the best true wind speed. So they've got 13 kilometers an hour of breeze where they are in that middle area of the course. USA have found a little bit on the top of the screen, 11, 12 kilometers an hour, but hopefully it will build as they get closer into the shore.
Not to be a spoiler alert, Stevie, but we have seen whoever has taken the whole shot in the previous 5 races has gone on almost every single time to win the race. That being said, the Americans have rolled the dice now. Do you think it's going to pay off?
Well, I think it was the move they had to make. It was the correct move at the time. I mean, if we're perfectly honest, they need a little bit of luck. But the reality is we can't control everything on a sailing boat race. You can't control what the wind's going to do next. You can hope to see it, hope to predict it, but if the Americans had stayed going in a straight line, they were definitely going to stay in third place. So he made the right decision at that time. Looks like a little gain at the moment, but I imagine New Zealand will turn in front of them, potentially look for a left turn here and block the US boat. But it's a gain for Canfield. And it's going to be tight between USA and Spain again as the Kiwis. They set up 2 more manoeuvres for New Zealand to get down to this final turning mark 4. If he can accelerate away from here, he's in good shape, but the US are not letting them off the hook just yet.
Emily, they share the data across the field, as we've seen all the coaches have the same data. If you're Taylor Canfield and your coaches, are they hearing that there's better pressure offshore, so head that way and follow the Kiwis?
They will definitely be keeping an eye on the wind speed that all of the boats are reading. That's the really interesting thing about the equipment that we've got. It allows all the teams to be able to see the live speed, direction, and help to predict what shifts are going to be next.
Spain were entitled to room inside there, Todd, and that's just great news for New Zealand. I'd say that is the moment the Kiwis should take the win. The Spanish have forced the USA to sail wider. Good news for USA up to second, though, making gains, but I think that will be now an insurmountable lead up to the Kiwis, really, because they've just stretched out. Although USA, 1 hull flying in the air. Spain have only got 2 hulls in the water, and the Kiwis have got 2 hulls in the water. So US are making some gains right now.
So the Americans looking for a little nitrous right here. If they can get past Burling and the Kiwis, there you see mark 4 at the top of your screen. They've got to go to that mark, take a left-hand turn, and then it's straight shot to the finish line. And early maneuver now. Now it's Canfield and Burling almost neck and neck.
Good move again by the US. He had more speed. He's going to be leading on the longer tack towards the next mark. He's just hoping that wind comes down from the top of the screen and hits him before New Zealand. New Zealand will have a faster angle from there, but only if they can stay in the same wind as the USA.
That's coming down a lot. That's copy. Okay, now the apparent wings more on the normal place.
Burling, he doesn't look relaxed. Just look at him leaning back there, willing the boat forward. Him and Blair Tuke have been in some tight situations for Olympic medals before, for America's Cups, for SailGP victories. They're just eking forward on that New Zealand boat. They do have the faster angle here. Canfield has positioned himself well tactically, but I think New Zealand's done enough.
Do the Americans have the right ley line into that marker? They're going to have to make another maneuver.
They might have to do 2 at the bottom. They're either going to get very slow or do 2 maneuvers. They will have the right of way on the Spanish when they get there, though, so it's good positioning. But I think New Zealand's too far down the road now. It's going to be back-to-back for the Kiwi crew.
And the realization now coming on board for Taylor Canfield, the Americans. Great just to be in this final, Stevie, because they get the maximum points, but Emily, it is tough to take down the Kiwis when they're sailing like this.
It is, and we know that they are one of our light wind specialists. The battle now is between the US team and the Spanish.
USA has the right of way here, but Spain has 2 times the boat speed. Spain should be able to slingshot round the outside, open a gap for the US to fit in, and then whip round the outside. I think, well, hats off to Taylor Canfield and his crew, because he went for the win. He did not settle for second. It's cost them a place, but hey, you've got to be in it to win it, and they have been. Diego Bortin's round, but it's the Kiwis look set to bring it home.
So in the final at Abu Dhabi, it is New Zealand. It is Peter Burling and crew that come across the line. That's 2 event wins in a row. The Kiwis take top honors in the UAE.
Could it be magic out there for this New Zealand crew, Todd? I mean, what a finish, what a performance, really. Absolutely nailed the start.
Credit where credit is due. Emily Nagel called this one 2 days ago. She said, I like the way the Kiwis are sailing. All right, who did you get the intel from? Because you were spot on.
The data never lies.
Spain will finish in 2nd place as they will pick up the 9 points, and that will catapult them from 6th overall to 5th. And hats off to Taylor Canfield, the Americans, just getting into the top 3 with a talent that is out on the water, Stevie. That is huge for a new team in SailGP.
Yeah, and they attacked that final. Wow, I mean, you know, that was some aggressive racing. They made the right decisions when they needed to. He went for the win. He was clearly not just happy to settle for second out there. He'd got past the Spanish, and it was like, right, how do I get past the Kiwis? Didn't work for him, but hey, like we say, I don't think he did anything at all bad in there. It was good positioning. The Kiwis, just hats off to them. They nailed the start. Their timing, their speed at the gun was incredible. And I think, you know, they've just scrapped hard all weekend on New Zealand. I think they'll have a lot of work-ons when they go away. They've not started well until the race that you have to start well.
So while the Americans and the Spanish were entangled out on the start box, looking to get the prime position at the full start, everyone forgot about how they forgot about it, but they forgot about Peter Burling and the Kiwis as they stayed out back and hit the line at full speed, and no one ever really threatened them until the very end. And with under a minute 8 to go before the start of the race, Canada will be the 3rd team that will profile. Phil Robertson, of course, Kiwi by birth, the winner of this event last year, Stevie. He's got some good people around him, including no other than Paul Campbell-James.
Yeah, Paul CJ's been a nice addition to the team, but again, Billy Gooderham, I can't help but look at him. Big Gooderham's got to fly the boat aggressively, and what I love there in Phil's interview, he just said what he wants to do. We can judge him on his plan. The plan, he said, was to win the pin end of the line. What does he mean by that? He means the downwind end, the end that's going to be closest to the bottom of our TV screen. That's because from the top of the line, they're struggling to get full pace, but Burling wants it too. He tries to turn inside the Canadians. Robertson defends, cuts down across the Kiwis. Now, here we go. What's the next play? Robertson's well positioned, but New Zealand will have a run at him, and Delapierre looks like he's going to go on his own, and he's going to wind it up on that French boat now. New Zealand, one more turn down. They attack the Canadians again. Does Robertson defend, or does he open things up? It's 9 seconds to go. Canada must keep clear of New Zealand. Burling's timed this well. France are coming at pace. How's your timing? Peter Burling at the bottom end of the line. Perfect from the Kiwis there on the inside. They have control. They should lead from here at Mark 1, but there's going to be some tight rules incidents. France must keep clear of Canada. Canada must keep clear of New Zealand, but the Canadians are out the back.
The French are the fastest boat on the course right now, over 80 kilometers an hour of speed. The Kiwis also very quick and have the inside.
At mark number 1, it is the Kiwis. The black foils are up and foiling with pace. Canada sits on the inside, France on the outside. Stevie, this is a big moment, leg 2 of 7.
Well, they Robertson called the best place to start, but he just couldn't quite execute it. Burling's timing was absolutely spot on. He attacked him with 10 seconds to go. There was no defense left. Now, big decision at the bottom here. Do you save a maneuver on this leg with a left turn, or we've seen the Kiwis make a gain by heading back towards the crowd? It'll be interesting what Burling and Took choose to do. This is the first time they've actually had a choice. Looks like they're going to keep it simple with a left turn. Canada will follow. I anticipate France is surely going to look to split the course. No, they're going to stay with them. The whole fleet are staying tight, and if you're on board that New Zealand boat, you are over the moon to see that.
New Zealand, the winners of race number 1, Canada won race number 2, and France won race number 3. So all the winners are out there today, and Canada's the first to turn away.
Well, yeah, they're just saying, as soon as you're sailing behind someone, Todd, you're in disturbed wind. You've effectively got less potential horsepower. Someone's blocking the wind in front of you there, and that's why Canada have chosen to get out, so they can sail their own race, sail with their own speed, but it was a bit of a loss early on the leg for the Canadians, and France, they're going to be struggling to overtake the New Zealand boat by just following at the moment.
At the boundary, it is the Kiwis, the black foils, they make the turn. Content Delapierre and the French, they sit in second on the course as it stands right now. Did Phil Robertson make the right call to split away early?
Find out in a minute. It doesn't look like a great call at the moment. It looks like the wind's rotated right. He's got a big left shift at the top. He's really turned away from those lines, but he's struggling. Look how slow they are. The wind's got light on that left-hand side, and that's what Lisa told us. There's more wind towards the bottom of our screen. Should be good news for France and New Zealand, and it certainly looks it at the minute. Canada off the foils.
And so far we are seeing the Kiwis sailing beautifully. Out of the maneuvers, they are accelerating so much quicker than the French, and that's saying something for the boat that previously was the masterclass.
Well, yeah, but the New Zealand boat spent most of the day sailing in disturbed wind. We've not really seen what they can do, and right now, look at that. That was a massive loss, that extra maneuver. The wind got light on Canada, and they now need a mistake from those two lead boats. They're just at the minute that both teams, New Zealand and France, are stretching as wide as they can on the course. They're sailing right from boundary to boundary. That strategically is to save maneuvers. Every time you turn the boat like this, you lose speed, you lose distance. So if you can minimize maneuvers, you get yourself sailing around the course pretty quick.
But look at the speed of Canada right now. It's increasing now at 58 kilometers an hour, where the Kiwis are going 43. The French drop now to 39.
Yeah, they're just sailing a slightly faster, wider angle at the moment. Todd, New Zealand is desperately trying to make it up to this next turning mark without another maneuver. That's the main priority for the Kiwis at the moment. France chasing in, but New Zealand, if they can get round here, I imagine France will follow them, and they'll feel very much in a controlling position on New Zealand. It's all about keeping it tidy.
Now it's the Kiwis on to leg 4 of 7 here in the event final of the ITM New Zealand Sail Grand Prix, trying to win their home event. France does in fact follow the Kiwis, and now it is Canada that has lost distance despite the speed, and the speed picks up for the Kiwis. Look at this, approaching 70 kilometers an hour.
The French currently with the fastest average speed around the course, slightly closing that gap with the Kiwis, but will it be enough?
And that's just classic of the French. They like to sail the boat fast, but normally the consequence of sailing the boat fast is you're sailing a little bit more distance. It's always a little way up. Do you sail less distance or do you sail faster? And New Zealand at the moment, what I like about the French right here is they're just, the Kiwis continually are making the right moves. So don't do the wrong move and give them the race easily. At the minute the French are staying there, once we're halfway up the next upwind leg, Delapierre's going to have to try something. He can't continue to follow the Kiwis, but at the moment it's not a terrible strategy, because you just keep the pressure on the Kiwis and you see if they're going to crack under that pressure.
It's certainly something that does not happen very often, Peter Burling cracking into pressure. But to your point, Stevie, this really is the first race that they've had this all by themselves out in front, no one to have to deal with. As Lisa talked to Peter Burling, having that extra space. Wasn't really confident about their starts, but today it seemed to work, and here they are at gate number 4.
Yeah, here go the French. Now he's making his move. Delapierre chooses to do the extra maneuver down here, splits away. Burling turns right back towards the Fan, and this is it. This is Delapierre's move. He's splitting the course. He's hoping for extra, but look at that. They're a bit high. They're a bit loose on that rounding. It was a tricky rounding, but they're messy. They're messy on the French boat there. They've got slow. Should be good news for the Kiwis, but when they next come back together, whoever is ahead, I think, will look to take the win here because they're going to have a big advantage.
Currently, we have slightly more pressure on that offshore side, as we've seen before with the French, but not a lot.
No, and it looks like a gain to me to New Zealand, to be perfectly honest right now. Looks like potentially a 100-metre move. I think the French had to do that. I've got no problem with that from De La Pierre. He needed to try something, but they just didn't execute it well. It was a messy rounding at the bottom. Not the easiest thing to do, the jibe and then turn the boat up. 2 manoeuvres in a row, but they just didn't do it smoothly. 50 metres is now 120 metres. This is the New Zealand Black Foils. This is their chance to bring it home in front of the fans.
Now, if they take the win here, it's not just the event that they are going to win. They are going to take the lead on the overall season leaderboard.
And a very tidy maneuver there by the Black Foils. The Kiwis and their sponsors looks like they are bringing it home. The lead now, it has shrunk down to 100, so the French have picked up about 50 meters, but again, they are running out of real estate as the Kiwis will get through this next gate, then they'll head back up the course. Phil Robertson getting back into play, but he has run out of time as well. He's got a massive deficit to second and first.
Yeah, Burling did that extra maneuver there to ensure that he controls the final decision into the gate, so he was happy to sacrifice a few meters to give himself tactical control here. He's going to turn the boat now one last time before this top gate, right on top of the French, and then it should now be one turn downwind and they'll be lined up for the final mark. So yeah, lost a bit of distance to gain a lot of control there. Classic, safe match racing move from Burling on the French, and it's advantage New Zealand. De La Pierre and the French crew need a Kiwi mistake to have any hope of getting the win here now.
How easy are we making it? Okay, come down.
France round right turn now.
So France follows New Zealand, hoping that Peter Burling and his team possibly make a mistake, have a sloppy maneuver, and they can capitalize. But right now it is over 200 meters that the Kiwis have the lead. They have waited a long time for this one, and they are on their way to claiming the title here in Christchurch.
Last maneuver here, Todd. Can they nail it? The boat's smooth. Look how level that platform stays. Both hulls similar distance above the water, silky smooth. They then tip the boat slightly on top. There's a lot of water over them, avoiding that mark. Oh, that was a little bit scrappy by the Kiwis. Oh, but the French are scrappy in the background as well. They're up in the air, maybe fatigue. It's been a long day out here on the water, but right now the Black Foils are locked back in. They've got the heel locked back in. The French are charging, but it's going to be too little too late on board this French boat. Going to be second for France as the Black, hear the crowd on the shore. That sounds like half of New Zealand standing up to applaud them.
And they bring it straight in towards the Adrenaline Lounge here in Littleton Harbour. All of Christchurch on their feet. Say hello to your winners. It's the Black Foils with the win.
Nothing the Kiwis like more than a hometown win, and France bring it home in second. Quentin de la Pierre, well, he's a pragmatic guy. For the season, massive, massive moment for the French. That could put them back into the top three, back into that dream of making the grand final in San Francisco later in season 4. But have a look at that for the New Zealand crew. Burling, he's pumped. The fans are pumped. Water days racing.
And look at the size of the crowd that turned out. They were disappointed yesterday that there was no racing. Certainly worth the wait today. Action from the very start, and it is the hometown favorites, the Black Foils, that get the win here at the ITM New Zealand Sail Grand Prix.
Here we are, 40 seconds to go, Todd, until the final start. The blue marks on the screen moving from top of our screen to the bottom. That's the current on the water. That's the treadmill that's lifting the boats all up this way. Giles Scott on Great Britain. He'll like the space he has right now, but all the boats are well spread out. I think I'd rather be starting at the top end of the line on our screen. It's the more downwind end, but it's near the top of our screen. Canada and Great Britain, they're in a fight. It's all about winding it up now. Pole Predictor has the Canadians in the optimum position at the minute, but Giles Scott shuts the door. Here we go. 10 seconds to go. New Zealand show us the favourites. Can they execute from here? It's all about timing now. Line's going to turn white. How's your timing, Phil Robertson? Beautiful. careful from the Canadians, but they put the bow in. How costly will that slowdown be? On the inside, it's New Zealand. Tactically, they have the right of way, but Canada and Great Britain, can they wind it up? Can they get enough speed to roll over? I think New Zealand are going to lead at mark 1.
As they approach mark number 1, they go 3 wide here in the event final at the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. It's New Zealand, it's Canada, and it's Emirates GBR.
Oh, look at that. New Zealand had the right of way, and they forced the Canadians and the British high and wide here. New Zealand are going to be comfortably in the lead. First manoeuvre for Canada. Can New Zealand stick this manoeuvre? Pressure on. Great move by Canada. New Zealand match perfectly executed, and right now, big advantage to New Zealand. They hold the trump card.
Advantage to New Zealand, but the Canadians are the fastest boat on the course.
It's a lift in our favour, Josh. Even, you said?
There we go. He's talking there. That's Phil. That's Peter Burling talking to Josh Jr. on the shore. They're talking about where the wind is at the moment. What direction is it? Slight disagreement on board there, but right now I think the priority's matching Canada. If New Zealand can exit the same mark as Canada, which is going to be a right turn for all the boats, I would suggest, then New Zealand will have a big controlling advantage. Turn. New Zealand are going to be faster coming in here.
You split the course.
Well, I think Great Britain definitely splits the course from here. Canada have got a harder decision to make. An extra manoeuvre could be costly at this stage. Time to roll the dice for Great Britain, but New Zealand, keep it tight, hang around, see if the Kiwis make a mistake.
The Brits have to make one more manoeuvre, so they decide to split the course, but Stevie, it's going to cost them a lot of time and distance because they were late to make that decision. Wait to see what Burling and Robertson are going to do.
Well, they were out the back, and if you follow in third, that's a lot of disturbed wind. We can see now Canada, they're right dropping down into the disturbed area of New Zealand. New Zealand will look to turn with the Canadians here. They'll all head back towards the side of the course where Giles Scott's British team are, and now the British need a little bit of luck. They need there to be a bit more breeze there. Is it luck or is it skill though?
And there we go. At the moment, we have a little bit more breeze with the Kiwis at the top of the screen, but only marginally so. The big question is going to be, what is the tide doing at the moment? We've heard that is currently ripping out of the Hudson River. The models had it better Governor's Island side, but that does change.
Ripping out the river, so that means it's moving from left to right on our screen. It's helping them up the course. It's giving them a little free ride up there. But what that also does is it increases the wind speed relatively felt by the boats, and more wind is, of course, good news. So more current, if it's helping you up there, is going to be good news. So still Great Britain are out of phase. They're in the race, Todd, but New Zealand are going to be keeping a tight eye on Canada. They'll look to manoeuvre directly in front of them next time.
All 3 boats within 100 meters of each other as we go down on the water. Lisa Darman, and where's the pressure coming from? Where do you want to put your boat?
I really think a right turn at the next gate is going to be strong. I think there's a little bit more pressure out of there, and then you're not fighting the current as much if Emily's models are correct. But you know, New Zealand, they obviously they're doing better maneuvers than everybody else, and I think they're just getting a little bit of a jump. And even in the fleet racing, I thought they're upwind mode, so what they're doing now, it looks really slick. They're sailing higher angles than anyone else.
Well, they just set it up so well. We're on board here, T-Mobile 5G POV camera, and they're pushing it high on the ride height. That rudder in the back right-hand corner, you can see it shaking around. It's right on the rev limiter there. But I think what they've done well is they put a careful move in above the Canadians on the first turn out of gate 2, and they set it up to just land right in front of them and totally block the wind onto Canada the whole way across here. So it's a big gain for New Zealand, total control. Canada are going to have to turn right at the top. Does the New Zealand boat set up to turn to the right? I think they might go left turn, an early manoeuvre on board New Zealand.
The Kiwis with Blair Tuke and Peter Burling directing the Black Fools around. They make the turn, and it is a left for them as Canada and Emirates GBR still not quite there yet. And this is dangerous times for the rest of the competition because if Pete Burling finds open space and good wind, Stevie, he will check out and be gone.
Now, without being too putting the kiss of death on him, this race is done, barring a mistake from the New Zealand boat. Now they've got a big enough lead that they can easily cover off any move by the boats behind. It's just about executing manoeuvres, so it's really a race for second here. Canada have sailed a lot of extra distance to take that right turn. That's advantage Great Britain now. New Zealand, well, it's just a bit of a masterclass for the black foils at the moment.
Right now, priority for the Canadians is holding on to that second place. We've seen them too many times hand it up, get a third. And right now, there is that really tight battle in the middle of the fleet on that overall scoreboard. And if you look at that scoreboard, currently they're at the bottom of the rankings of those 4 teams at risk of losing their spot next season.
Canada has been into the event final 3 times this year and yet to close the deal. Right now, master class is being applied to the rest of the field as Peter Burling and the Kiwis, the black foils, Stevie, they get away from everyone. It's almost like they have agoraphobia. They don't want to be around people. Stay away from us, and they just do their own thing.
Well, they're just quite fast, aren't they? I mean, you know, the criticism I've always had for them is that they're not been very good at the starting in the fleet racing, and they've made it hard for themselves. But in the 3 boats, Pete's been on fire and a brilliant start. Don't underestimate how well he nailed that start. In total control, they've been able to dominate.
And the numbers are showing exactly that at the moment. They're 1.5 k an hour average, faster speed than the other 2 boats. They've also sailed less distance.
So the wind remaining consistent throughout the day here on the second day of racing at the Mubudla New York Sail Grand Prix in New York Harbor, New Zealand, Canada, and GBR in the event final. On board underneath Emirates GBR with the T-Mobile 5G cam. And right now, this is not the view that Giles Scott and Hannah Mills were looking for. Winners of the last event in Halifax, they are losing distance quickly to the front runners, the Kiwis and the Canadians.
Yeah, I mean, they were forced their hand at gate 2. I think it was fair enough to roll the dice at that stage. It was always going to be pretty hard once you're out the back. And we can see it's a slight case of, you know, the boat ahead's just got that advantageous position. New Zealand, they've managed to push well in. They don't want to get too close to that short line in case there's a bit less breeze. But I think Lisa's saying that there wasn't too bad. The wind seems relatively even on the course now, Lisa.
Find around there somewhere.
Yeah, it's definitely even across the racetrack, and because the foiling manoeuvres are a little bit easier because the breeze has just picked up in general, it means the differential isn't as bad. Everyone seems to be sticking these manoeuvres, but you know, these storms are brewing, so we're really lucky that we got racing in today, and New Zealand's just looking just way slicker than everyone else.
That's the word of the day, slick, as Peter Burling and team just go about their business. There you see the ripples on the water, Stevie. They just seem to be like a magnet attracted to that. They find the pressure and then they accelerate. We've seen them come out of starts in 7th, 8th place, and they end up, oh, you know, top 3.
Well, they're just saying, well, I mean, I think while we're watching this, you see how accurately the boat is. The boat's tipped way towards the crew there. They're gaining maximum righting moment off that boat, maximum leverage on the foils. And I just think, have a minute to look at this. We're racing these F50s in front of the Statue of Liberty, Manhattan in the background. It's unbelievable, the scenes out here. And I think it's a performance fitting of the scene that it's happening in front of on board the New Zealand boat at the moment. Andy Maloney, across he goes. He's going to be happy out there. They're well lined up for that gate. We can see the 2 marks in front. Probably only 2 more good manoeuvres for the New Zealand crew stand between them and the big prize in the Big Apple.
As they approach gate number 5, it is Pistol Pete and the Kiwis as they will make the long ride back up the course, and then it's a quick right-hand turn in front of Governor's Island and the Adrenaline Lounge. Just look how quickly and how smooth they make the transitions.
That's 2 months drop. Yeah. Copy.
Oh, it's like it's on rails.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
But I think as soon as they're out in front like that as well, it's just the time to have the calm temper. Their comms on board are always very impressive. But we saw in a race yesterday when they were in a tight tussle with the Swiss, they pulled off a manoeuvre where it all looked a bit rushed and they paid the price. But our Canadians here, they're going to be happy with this 2nd place. They've sailed well in this race, but to be honest, when you're up against the best, you can sail well, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's good enough.
Angle.
See the G-forces, how tough it is to make that transition on a turn. And Robertson comes over, takes the wheel.
It's the grinders at the front of the boat that have to run across when the whole boat's turning. I think the fact they hang on is absolutely unbelievable. Final manoeuvre for the New Zealand crew here. Should be bread and butter for them in front of the fans to bring it home.
Mark number 6, and it is the Kiwis, the black foils, that'll bring it home and claim yet another victory here in season number 4, and they have punched their ticket into the grand final, regardless of what happens in the racing in the Pacific Ocean in a few weeks' time. The Kiwis will have an opportunity to fight for the title. That is an amazing performance. That's 5 wins out of 12 events. The Kiwis take the win in New York City.
Touching off, Andy.
And that will put them in with 93 points going into this final.
Amazing performance. They came in with an 11-point lead over Spain. They increased that. Great showing by Phil Robertson and the Canadians. As they get into the event final, they will finish in second, and they will take home 9 event points, season points.
Yep, heading there now.
Emirates GBR will finish in third. So back-to-back finals for the Brits as they win in Halifax and finish third in New York City.